Mr. Henry Cavill. First, I'd like to say congratulations on getting the rights to the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Clearly, you're a big fan of 40k, and you're one of the few celebrities out there who actually wants to be faithful to the stories you're telling and isn't antagonistic toward fans, because you are one. And that knowledge alone gives me a little bit of hope as to how the IP will be approached and hopefully handled, especially when compared to how other beloved IPs have been disrespected, dishonored, and deconstructed by people who are at best incompetent and at worst openly hostile toward them. Your clear love of 40k has me at least cautiously optimistic. Second, and I'll keep this quick, because I know you're a busy man, what with all your push-ups and PC gaming, I have an idea for a show that, if done right, that means, as you know, starting with good, passionate writers, is a guaranteed winner and will make you at least $1 billion. Give or take. I'm sure you've heard of The Twilight Zone. I mean, who hasn't, right? That show is a bona fide classic and is Rod Serling's masterpiece. But are you aware that Rod Serling had another similar but less well-known show called The Night Gallery? Again, to keep this short, The Night Gallery was basically The Twilight Zone, but instead of Rod's hosting segments taking place sorta within the episode, you'd see the actors do something, then the camera would pan over, and there's Rod ready to give the audience his spiel, or sometimes he'd just do it through a simple voiceover. But in The Night Gallery, Mr. Serling would start each episode in an art gallery full of paintings and objets d'art, and he would focus on one that had to do with that night's episode. So dig this. As I'm sure you're well aware, Mr. Cavill, Warhammer happens to have a character who is himself something of an art collector. This character happens to own the largest museum in the galaxy, and in fact, this gallery, if you will, is an entire planet, and it's brimming with an almost infinite collection of unique, rare, one-of-a-kind exhibits which he personally curates, often through hilarious, less than honest methods. I'm talking, of course, about Trazyn the Infinite, archaivist of the Solemnis galleries on the Necron tomb world of Solemnis, and one of the coolest characters in a universe full of cool characters. How cool is Trazyn? Well, even though Necrons are not my favorite faction, that would be the Adeptus Mechanicus, Trazyn might just be my favorite character in all of 40k. So here's the pitch. The Solemnis Gallery, with your guide, Trazyn the Infinite. Which is a working title, of course. I'm sure you'll come up with something way better. Each episode of Solemnis Gallery would begin with the viewer being given a tour of some part of the vast collection of exhibits. And as we're walking along, Trazyn's there with us making little quips and remarks about this piece or that as he passes them, until finally he settles on one that is particularly interesting, and that piece will be the focus of the current episode. Like Night Gallery, rather than the show having a continuous season-long arc, each episode would instead be self-contained. Trazyn has artifacts, relics, ancient weapons, ancient warriors. Hell, he even has entire armies frozen in time on display in his collection. And each piece has an awesome story behind it, or Trazyn wouldn't even bother with it. And, since there's no way to ever know everything he actually has in his collection, the storytelling possibilities are literally limitless. This would be a fantastic opportunity to showcase stories from the 40k universe that are really interesting, but couldn't be made into an entire show of their own. Stuff like Cryus, the cyber-revenant Iron Hands tech marine who commands a technically heretical army of undead Astartes loyalists. And as an aside, can you imagine the Imperium fighting a losing battle, and just when all seems lost, these guys show up to wreck shop like the 40k version of the Dead Men of Dunharrow? Or how about Tuska, the orc war boss who is so good at killing Khornate demons that Khorne himself keeps resurrecting him so he can keep fighting? I guess since Khorne feeds off brutality and savagery, Tuska and his boys are like a rechargeable battery for him. And there are tons of short stories like this that could make for excellent single episodes. I've always loved anthology shows like Amazing Stories, Tales from the Dark Side, monsters, and of course the OG, the Twilight Zone. And this format has gained a bit of a bump recently with stuff like Black Mirror and Love, Death, and Robots. This would be an excellent way to show off just how dark, terrifying, poignant, sad, and funny the Warhammer 40k universe really is, all within one show with the perfect host. Each episode could go in any direction it wants. This week, it's a funny tale. Next week, it'll be sad. After that, inspiring. Then it could go dark. And then circle back to funny again. And look, Henry, I know there are other, more popular characters in the 40k universe, and they're all in the Imperial. And they are better bets to get a fledgling universe off the ground. But once you've gotten Tales of the Ultramarines out of the way, and the Warhammer Cinematic Universe has established a beachhead, the fans will be primed and ready for something a little different. And your boy Trazin is going to be right there, ready to regale viewers with tales of horror, heroism, and hilarity as he takes us on a tour of the Solemnis Gallery. So anyway, folks, and Mr. Cavill, because I'm positive you're actually watching this video, that's my pitch, my idea for a $1 million TV show that's a guaranteed runaway hit. What do you guys think? Isn't this a great idea? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, adios.